everybody. Thanks for coming back in and checking in on the updates. I got a couple parts in the mail from Barnes 4-Wheel Drive. I've got a bushing kit and then also got the bomb-proof Trail Gear Toyota front motor mounts. So I can kind of get started on getting everything set in there, locked in, and then I can start messing with everything else. So today for the plan is I'm going to get the bushing mount mounted on the low range off-road bracket that I have already mounted on the rear of the case. It's going to be a little bit finicky. I've kind of already spent some time down there figuring out how I really want to do it. It's not going to be beautiful by any means, but it's got to be removable. So that's kind of what I'm having some issues with, but kind of the issues I'm running into for clearance wise for how narrow my frame rail is. And with this piece that I have for the saddleback that's on that on the transfer case. So tune in and we'll get this thing all figured out just piece by piece. I'm gonna get the bushing can mounted on the bracket itself that's on the case already. So I'm just gonna directly weld to that, and then I'm gonna have to make some flanges that come out off the frame, and I wanna make those strong enough where there's no twisting or binding or anything like that that can rip those off. So just guessing at this point, my plan that I was gonna do originally didn't work. I was just gonna have like a piece of 1.5" 0.95 square tubing underneath the bracket itself, just that kind of ran all the way across. But I didn't have clearance for that, and my rear link mounts for my upper links are in the way. So enough talking, let's get to it. Okay, so I'll kind of show you the issues I'm running into. I got these, I think they are they might be 2.5 inches or like 2.25 inch long. Pretty beefy polyurethane bushing kit that Barnes 4-Wheel Drive sells. And my intention was to have, I was thinking of running the 1.5 inch square tubing down here, and then somehow having those bushings over here, and or in some orientation where it would be removable easily. But I don't like how far down that kind of puts these. You know, if I'm welding directly to the bottom of this plate right there, I don't know if you could see. If I'm welding right down to the bottom of this plate here, that brings this down lower than I really want it to be. I'm trying to keep everything tucked up out of the way, but I need it to be removable. So if I unbolt this bolt, I unbolt this bolt on this side here, I need it to be able to at least pop off one side and then be able to pop off the other side as well, so I can get it up and over what eventually will be a big drive flange. So I don't know how big. I really need it to be able to fit between this dimension here so it can slide straight back. I can't really have it, I mean, I can pop it off this side here first, and then that side will come loose, but eventually I don't want to fight myself if at some point something will break down the line, or something. I might have to do maintenance, and I'll have to take this off. You know, I need it to be able to fit between this, basically the tightest dimension between bullhead to bullhead. So I'm gonna have this one here, I'm gonna have this one here, and I might put them more on like the front side here, and I'm just gonna weld directly to it. I can get a good weld in there, a good weld on this back side here, and then I can just basically make out of a sheet of scrap 1/4 inch that I have, make something that will span over all this. My intention is to make it kind of go up and over where it kind of catches onto the frame here, because there's already a lot going on with just from the suspension. I don't want to really add that much more of all the torque that this is going to have additionally putting onto this bracket, whereas this is really only designed for suspension only. So I want to make a plate that's pretty beefy that'll kind of cover up a good footprint down here, and then somewhat the same thing on the top. I'll probably just end up going, off this mount off the top, but at least if something's on the bottom, I'll have something that is pretty strong, and 1/4 inch steel, that's going to be plenty. That's the only thing I could really think of, and that keeps my clearance up where I want it. I don't want anything coming down any lower. I know I have this already, but that's going to have to be something separate to build a skid plate for that, and then everything else too. So, but just to get it mounted, I need this to be removable. I'd rather just keep this as, its own thing. That's my thought process on it. Like I said, I was not thinking that this was going to be that big of a problem, but once I kind of got everything, like this is exactly where I want it to be, this way and like centered up, and the front is pretty close. It can come up and down some. Ideally, I wanted to get this mounted first so it's not so hard, because right now the way that the motor is on the cherry picker is, it's kind of off level. So I got some blocks and stuff on the front to keep it level. From what I can tell, it's level. And then I can get this mounted, and then I won't have to really battle the front, because there's a lot more going on. I have 3 jacks right now holding everything up. So I really don't want to go up there and be grinding and tack welding and bump something and get in some trouble. This is all gonna have to cut out here, or at least a good chunk of it. I'm not too worried if I gotta chop this in half in total, or if I just have to do a little notch and keep some of it. I don't think, at the moment, I don't see an issue with it. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and get these welded on, so at least I got a visualization of what I need. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna work on the top bracket first, so I can get in here and get a good weld, just because I won't really be able to get in there as easily once I weld the bottom one on. Anyways, that's what we're doing. All right. Well, tough spot to weld, so I'm going to take that off. That way I can get a nice, not a fucking ugly weld, because only I care about that. To go forward, you have to go backward. I should grab a socket, not an open end wrench. You know what I mean? Okay, now to draw up a little something. I guess a tape measure would be a way to do it. So, the top, let's do something around, we'll go 5. And this one's gonna be, we'll go like 9 inches. Lower that down where that's nice and flush. I do have to put the bushings in. Maybe I should do that. Like butter. It's my nice straight edge. Yeah, it's not fucking bad. Pretty close. Honestly, not bad at all. My plan might change. I might have to make the lowers first. That's how it goes. Might just be better to get that set down all the way, and then I can let go of this jack. Sure, why not? All right, everybody, I got the lower mounts made. They're bolted in place. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe down all the new metal, wipe down the old metal. I already ground off the old paint, so I'm gonna get those welded in. I'm gonna work on the upper mounts next, and then get the rear solidly mount, and then it won't go side to side, won't go front to back, and then I can just hop on the fronts and get those bomb-proof motor mount made. So, and then after that, the motor and everything will be set. And I could take all the fucking jacks off and then have a nice clean working area. I want to get it kind of bring the front end back up because we had to jack it way down to get the motor down in there where I know everything's true and level from side to side and front to back, because that all changed. I had that all set where it was before we dropped the motors. I want to get everything back up, take the cherry picker out. So hopefully that this weekend I can get everything set in place. So that would be super, super awesome. Let's get those welded in and keep on trucking. Okay, I got the lower mounts done. I think I'm gonna have a change of plans, because if I was able to put, if I was gonna put a bracket, like just kind of like how I did the bottom, but on the top, I still wouldn't be able to swing that plate off. So I changed my mind, and I'm actually going to end up just gusseting my lower bracket, and then I have the frame. I'm gonna kind of make some little gussets that go on probably both sides. I'll have one that kind of goes off the link mount to the inside of my frame rail. So I don't think it's gonna see a whole lot of strain. Then it is still removable. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I don't think I really lose anything by doing it like this. I still have it welded to the inside of the link bracket, and I still have it welded to the frame, so it's not just fully dependent on the link mount bracket itself. So I think that'll be fine. There's no more jack stand under there. I took the jack stand out from the middle, so that's one less jack stand in the way. So that's freaking sweet. It seems to be holding pretty well. I mean, I'm kind of pulling on it just with the lower bracket in there, so it seems to be doing its job. This chain actually is actually, you know, somewhat loose, so it's really only holding the front end up at this point. So, but I think square wise it's holding all right. So far so good. It's gonna be so much nicer to have the jack stands out of the way, and I'm able to kind of work on things without worrying if it's gonna fall. So far so good. I also got my shock towers in. I'm pretty pumped about that. Yeah, those are pretty beefy. I also ordered, Barnes sells these gusset kits. They're just little, I think they're coming 15 pieces or something like that. Just random sizes. I'm gonna open them all up here. Oh, those are the D-ring mounts I ordered for the front. But in here is just a bunch of random shapes. So I'm gonna see if I can find something. See if I can find something that's gonna work for the inside on both of the lower mounts, and then we'll get that'll be a little bit of time saving, but I mean, you know, you always cut off a bunch of little pieces. I always have little scraps left over. I keep this one's for my really small scraps I just started. Obviously my scrap bin here, but somewhere in there, I'm sure there's something, but just to save a little bit of time, I have these. So I'm gonna unwrap and see what I can find. That's a good one right there. That might work. I don't even know. Oh, this isn't for, this is for the shock tower. Yeah, 2 good sized ones there. I think that one's the same as that one. They're all different thicknesses too, which is really, you could piece out anything you'd need. Got a lot of these ones. These are good sized for anything. Seems to be the most common one is that one. A couple small ones here. That gives me a lot of options here. I think what I'm gonna do is I'll grab a couple of them that I know I have the same. Probably the bigger that I can get them will be better for that situation. So I'm gonna sift through these a little bit and try and figure out which ones are gonna work best. And yeah, I'll let you know how it works out. But if you don't have, or if you're already shopping from Barnes four-wheel drive, I think it's like 15 bucks for, or I don't know how much it is. It's really not a lot. You might as well grab them. Useful little pieces. Well, that is the premise of the bracket there. I'm attached pretty good on that link mount. I've got a pretty good attachment down there on the frame. Added the gusset over there and a gusset on the other side. Let me flop over there real quick. I hope you guys can see that all right, but I got a gusset up in there too. I kind of did like a double weld on the frame there just to kind of give it a little bit more oomph. And I did a really fat weld on this other side and it looks like crap. That's awful. It was kind of tricky getting up in there with the transfer case in and stuff. And then same thing on the other side here. Driver's side turned out a lot better because I could get to it. I still got to clean up all this stuff here on the frame. That's old stuff. I used to have the Zooks off-road transfer case driver's side mount there, which obviously I don't need that anymore. But so now this plate should be able to swing directly out. And then same thing on this side too. Same thing. So I think that's worked out pretty good. I'll have to put a washer on the top of that bushing there. There really is not going to be a whole lot of pressure, I think, on that from twisting around now that it's locked in on both sides. Super pleased with that. So that finishes up the rear minus some cleanup, which I got to do that on both sides. It's a little change of plans, but I think it'll be fine. Let me know what you think too. Something more I should add that doesn't complicate it too bad. I just really can't see it like popping off or really wanting to drop down now that it's all kind of incorporated into the link brackets and the frame and everything. It's kind of just wedged in there. So I think it's going to work out pretty sweet. Like I said, it's not anything like I had planned before, involved in nothing that I had planned before, but you got to improvise sometimes. Having those little gusset brackets, so that was pretty nice to save some time there. And then now I can kind of get focused on the front. That'll be in another video. It's kind of a long video, you know, just trying to show you the little steps that it takes to put all this time into it. Just make sure you're not gonna screw yourself. That's all I've got. Thanks for watching another episode of this series of the Samurai Saga on Johnny Moon Garage. So I'm working on making like a logo and stuff like that. I'd like to like make my own t-shirt, you know, just to kind of get started. I just wanted to see if this was really something I wanted to do. So, and it seems like some of you like watching it. I really appreciate it. So thanks for watching again, and we'll see you on the next episode making the front mounts. So stay tuned.